Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Thaco Gamers. My name is Matt, and I have here with me today other Matt, and we're going to talk about Rift. We've been playing some MMOs recently, doing some first impressions. Should you play gaming reviews? Is it worth playing in 2017 kind of things? And we decided to give Rift a shot. So, welcome, Matt. How you doing?
Good. Doing great.
So yep, we loaded up Rift a few days ago. We've put in some time to it. What level are you at right now? Where'd you get to?
I'm at 26.
26, and I'm right
Yeah.
around there with the character I started with you. I'm actually logged in right now with a character I had previously. I just wanted to check in and see how she was doing. She's at 39, but this
Yeah.
this was from, I think, according to my guild roster, from about 5 years ago.
From whatever 1,600
Yeah,
days is.
whenever that was. That was the last time my wife logged in, so that was some kind of a guesstimation for me of how long it's been since I played. But anyways, so I don't know. Let's get right into it, Matt. What do you think? What do you think of the character creation in Rift?
I like the character creation. It gives a lot of options. It does the whole slider and the colors, like the color grid. I think it's really well done, even for 2017 today's standards. You don't really get that kind of customization in a lot of MMOs now.
And especially for the time that it came out, we probably should have looked this up and find out exactly when this game was released. But
Like 91. I think this came out on Nintendo
yeah,
first.
right. This is a NES port.
Yeah. Man, this game would do great as an MMO. They released it right alongside Gauntlet, which took a lot of the player base away.
Right.
I think.
I do realistically though. I do think this came out around 2011 ish, 2010, right around there.
Yeah, somewhere around there. And I think to put more of like a time frame around it, World of Warcraft was probably around Lich King, kind of like in its heyday.
Yeah, Lich King Cataclysm, right around there. I think we decided. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, as far as when you look at the comparison of what the game was at release, it was. I would have to say it was freaking pretty phenomenal.
I didn't play it at release, and now that we've started playing it later, I kind of wish that I hadn't spent so much time on World of Warcraft because this game, I feel like, for the time that it was released, has a lot of a lot more to it than World of Warcraft did.
Yeah, and I don't feel like, I can't say for any certainty, but I don't. This is about how I remember the game looking. I didn't log back into this, and I mean, this is how I remember it looking. It probably a little bit better nowadays because I actually have a computer that can,
Support it.
yeah, max. I can max all the settings out in it now. That wasn't something I was probably able to do
Yeah.
back when the game was released. But
Your Commodore 64
Right.
wasn't running a GeForce 1080.
so character creation was pretty cool. Each faction has about, I think, 3 races that you can do, so that was kind of limited. But the ability, like you said, with all the sliders and just the characters themselves, the character models looked very nice. And it even, I think, by today's standards, is average. I don't think it's even below average for now. That's my take on
No.
it. But
I don't think. I mean, the graphics, even the world graphics, like the draw distance and everything inside the game. Once you start getting out a little bit further, it gets hazy. The backgrounds aren't as nice as today's standard MMOs.
like Arcade or BDO and stuff like that, yeah. Even
Yeah.
even honestly, WoW has a freaking amazing draw distance now.
Yeah, it does. It's unreal when you're flying over Elwyn Forest and you can
Yep.
see all the way into wherever you want.
Right.
Really. But the one thing that this game doesn't have, that I haven't seen so far, but I'm only level 26, which I love, is non-flying mounts. There are no flying mounts. So if this game held up to even WoW standards and held the player base like it, I believe it should have. The world PvP aspect would have been a lot greater.
And that
That's
go ahead.
that's one of the biggest things that I like in an MMO is having that MMO feel where you've got players everywhere. You know, there's always that sense of danger that could come swooping down at any time.
And that brings us into basically the main gripe about this game. If we're going to call this a should you play or is it worth playing in 2017, we can't speak for what it's like at Endgame. There are people in here chatting, but we don't see any people. Matt and I queued for PvP. How long were we in a queue for PvP? Like probably 10, 15
Yeah.
minutes. And it said the average wait time was 0 seconds, which we think means infinity.
Infinity.
Yeah, there's nobody queuing for PvP. We joined. They have what they're called instant adventures, which are cool because the player base is so low right now. It basically gathers everybody up and sets them somewhere in the world, levels you to whatever's going on there, and you just run around in this Zerg, basically doing random world quests or whatever.
I really like that part of this game. Actually, it's kind of like an instant dungeon queue, where you can just, if you want to get in and you want to kill some baddies and do some quests and get some experience, you can do so with a group of people just running around the same mindset.
And it has the riffs in it are basically what we decide the ESO dolmens seem to be taken directly from this game as far as the idea and concept and how they work and everything else.
Are you reading? I don't know if you see this world chat that's going on right now, but they're pretty much saying everything we're saying.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it says, I like the greater complexity and character builds that this game provides over WoW. WoW used to have in-game
in-depth talent trees, but that was long
That
ago.
was long ago, which is really cool because I always liked in vanilla WoW and even a couple of expansions after that, the 41 point talent trees, because it gave so much diversity to the characters and you could really kind of fine tune what you wanted your niche to be. In this game, I mean, the talent trees are awesome.
Yeah, they are.
They're huge.
Yep.
There's like right now I'm playing a cleric and I've got all these cleric choices. I do the purifier, cabalist, druid, sentinel, and justicar. But each one of those has, I mean, it looks like just like 50 different talent points to it to get to the top tier.
Yeah.
But then you get to choose 3 of them, 3 of those 6 or 3 of those 5 and create your class based off of that.
There's 8 total. You probably have 3 selected already.
Oh, I do.
And then there's 5 more that you can swap in and out of there.
Math is hard.
So, and like for me, I'm a elementalist, chloromancer, and pyromancer with my character, and I could swap any of those skill trees out with the dominator, archon, stormcaller, warlock, and necromancer. And this is just for the mage. And then there's a rogue one that has 8 different skill trees for that. And it's just like WoW. You basically can max out one tree, and then you have a modest amount of points to apply to the other trees however you want to. And then with each point you put into the trees, there's the root system of the trees that grant you more skills going down as you put more points into the tree going up, which is pretty cool too. So yeah, it's definitely like the old school WoW feel with a diversity feeling like you get with either Dungeons and Dragons or maybe Arcade and games like that too, where you can really make a specific character, which is really neat. There's not a lot of MMOs that offer that. It's very streamlined nowadays with everything.
Yeah, a lot of MMOs have gotten away from the diverse talent trees.
So,
except for Path of Exile.
Right.
It's a very Path of Exile-esque talent tree in an MMO.
Oh my god, that thing's terrifying. We should do a whole video on that someday.
Oh my god, dude! Could you imagine just going through each talent,
We're gonna
like
talk about every
naming each
talent.
talent? Would be like 15 segments of an hour-long videos.
Oh, so what did you think about the gameplay of this? As far as the controls and the gameplay.
It's smooth. I like it. The camera's not too clunky or anything like that. Everything's really smooth. I think it's really well put together in this game.
I think a lot of games, even Arcade, because I've mentioned that a lot because we've been doing a lot of videos on Arcade recently. But the one of the things about Arcade that I think is not super strong is the actual like gameplay when you're battling and stuff like that. It's not bad,
Yeah,
but
it's
Rift
very
is,
flashy.
yeah, Rift is a lot smoother. Rift plays like WoW, which for a tab targeting game to make you feel like you have that much control, I think WoW and Rift are probably two of them that do it the best. Star Wars does pretty well with it too. The
Star
Old
Wars
Republic,
does.
but
They've got some issues with their tab targeting that I don't like in Star Wars, and I noticed a lot when we're doing dungeons and stuff. But in this game, it feels like they did it right
I agree.
as far as a tab targeting game can do it right.
Now, the next thing I had on my notes here was the graphics. We kind of already talked about that. Now, I had on the initial notes of what we wanted to talk about here, I had PvP, which we will bring up again. We have played to mid-level 20s, and we have yet to experience any PvP. We haven't seen any of the other faction running around out in the world, and we tried queuing for PvP and were unable to get into it. So, yeah, PvP is pretty much non-existent, at least until you get somewhere in the game. But as for where we're at, there's no PvP.
Right.
And the population in this game is pretty abysmal, which is unfortunate. I don't know why it's not more popular, honestly.
And well, I feel like you had said earlier off video, was that, WoW being the granddaddy of MMOs really has that player base just because of that nostalgic fact, or factor, not fact. The nostalgic factor. I remember doing this in this zone, and I remember doing this in that zone, and
Right.
it feels like, if you're gonna play an MMO that you're used to, you'd go to WoW because everybody's played WoW.
Yep.
And WoW was really blowing it out of the water when this came out. And I do remember seeing, a couple of commercials on TV and ads and stuff like that, and saying, oh, that's a game that maybe I'd like to play, but I never did.
Right.
Until now, and I regret it. It's unfortunate because I think it was it's a really good game, even for today's standards. If it had a big player base, I think it would be, that much better.
Yep.
Like, I'm standing in a town here, and it when we started the video, the town got attacked by NPCs. And it's got like this little what do they call it, like a ward stone in the middle of the town. You go there, and when you go there, it asks you to group up with people in the area.
Yep.
And it automatically puts you into a group to go out and stop this threat that's attacking the city, which I thought, that's really cool.
Yep.
This game seems like it's really group based, group oriented content. It really wants to pull you into the community. And unfortunately now the community is not around.
Right. And this had, I think Guild Wars 2 took a lot of cues from this because it seems to have that same type of grouping ability that Guild Wars 2 had, where you just kind of roll into a group, a public group that's out there. And like, I'm sitting here at a Rift, which we're talking about population. I was standing here at a Rift just waiting for somebody to come up and do something about it. And finally somebody showed up here, and there's one person in this Rift doing something. But I can just click on them and join their group if I wanted to, but I'm just going to watch from a distance because I think it'd be more fun.
Because I'm a voyeur.
I'll just sit out here and watch.
Yeah.
But and the riffs were super cool too. I really enjoyed that. I remember when I first played this that there were no other MMOs that were doing anything like this, so it was really cool. The biggest thing though is the fact that there's like zero population to this that we can see. Like I'm outside of a capital city. There's in the city there was nobody there. Outside of the city there's no one there, and there may be future zones where there's a lot of stuff going on, but I just don't see it. It doesn't look like it has any kind of population. So I guess would you recommend this game to anybody in 2017? What's your recommendation for Rift?
My recommendation is that it's a great game, but if you're gonna play it, bring a massive group of friends.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Because if you don't, you're going to be playing an MMO alone.
A solo.
So it's, it's an MO and not an MMO. It's a multiplayer online game, not massively multiplayer, though. So if you do decide to play Rift, which I think is a good idea, if you've got some time and you're looking for something to do and you don't want to jump into WoW anymore because it's lame now, jump into Rift. Check it out. Bring a group of friends. Get the community going again.
I think with a group of friends, this would be fun. I don't think if you're looking for any kind of PvP action, any kind of interaction with the other faction, it seems to be, at least where we're at, non-existent. Once again, this is I'm not going to make the same mistake we made with Lord of the Rings Online. This is a first impression. This is just our take on the amount of time that we've put into this. So
I understand we've barely made it out of the starting zones, but at least this game kept us interested enough to get out of the starting zone.
This had the same... We noticed the same amount of people playing in this that we saw in Lord of the Rings Online, and this pulled us for quite some time. And honestly, with this game, the only thing that we're saying, because we were talking about, do we want to continue to play Rift once we're done with this video? And we seriously considered it. It was just the lack of population that kept us from doing it. Unlike Lord of the Rings Online, where it was the lack of the population, the shitty gameplay, the horrible graphics, and everything else that game offered. So
yeah, even with the graphic upgrade patch that they had, it was like seriously staring at a rock in this zone. In this game, you're staring at a rock, and those are all the graphic intensity that you're going to get from Lord of the Rings.
There's another thing about this too that you mentioned while we were playing, is the creatures in here are pretty unique and designed well, drawn well. Their animations are good. Their death animations are cool. There's a lot of weird penises that we were fighting in one area.
A lot of phallic shaped creatures. It was it was like your 14-year-old cousin decided to become a video game programmer and was like, dude, check this out. I can put penises everywhere and people are going to fight them.
Oh, shoot. So what would you say overall what would you say are the pros of this game? What are the strengths of Rift?
For when it came out or for now?
This is a 2017 review, so for now. What are the strengths of this now?
The strengths of this now, I would say, are character creation, gameplay, even the graphics. They're not bad.
Yep.
They're not horrible. Gameplay, graphics, and customization of your own character.
Yeah, that is cool. I absolutely love that. I agree. And I agree with every single one of those things that you said. And included with the instant adventures are pretty cool. But lack thereof, unless you bring your own friends, getting into dungeons and raids is probably going to be a pain. We can't speak for raids for sure, but you'd almost have to bring 10 of your friends and have 5 of them play on the other alliance, and all of you queue for PvP at the same time.
And still wait 10 hours.
And still wait.
So that one other person on the other side could queue up.
So, but yeah, I mean, if I wasn't doing the YouTube thing, honestly, I would probably stick with this for a little bit longer just to tinker around with it. But the lack of player base
Yeah.
is the biggest con ever for an MMO. You can't say you're an MMO and have 0 people playing it. So
Yeah.
But-
Agreed.
I don't know. I guess that's all I got to say about it. Our recommendation, the Thaco Gamers official recommendation after our first impression of this game, is that gameplay is
Play
good.
something else.
Yeah, gameplay is good. Population sucks. So unless you want to play a single player MMO, you probably want to go to something else.
Yep. Agreed.
So, all right. Thanks for doing this with me today, Matt. The rest of the
No
Thaco
problem.
Gamers have left us all alone to take care of these reviews lately, but I think the Great Flood, Chad will probably be back here eventually once there's gets the
great
flood.
flood of Midland.
Recedes back into the ocean.
Oh, so Chad had some catastrophic things happen to his computer and computer area.
man.
So some
That
pretty
looked
bad
horrible.
storms. I think it was 18 inches of water he got in his basement. Poor guy.
It's insane, dude.
So, but we look forward to having Chad and Jason back eventually. But until next time, thanks for joining the Thaco Gamers.
Thank you.